Hi guys, Jordan with Motion Array, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to film yourself when you're by yourself. So let's get into it. So believe it or not, here at Motion Array, I actually do most of these videos here by myself. No crew around, no assistants, it's just me. And as these sorts of videos become more of the standard in marketing and independent promotion, chances are you're going to find yourself in this sort of a situation, either sitting or standing in front of a camera filming yourself. So today we're going to be going over some of the best practices to filming yourself by yourself. So let's start it off with location. So the first question is, where do you film? While technically you could film anywhere your heart desires, there's a couple of things to keep in mind: appearance, sound, and privacy. One of the first things when people think about where to film is how that location will appear on camera, and that's really important. Think about the kind of video that you're trying to create, and will the location that you're thinking of match that creative tone and vision? If you're doing something simple like a sit-down vlog at home, then your living room could do just fine. But if you're doing a corporate video for a business that's more of a suit and tie kind of place, you're going to want to come up with a location that says business, like a boardroom or an open concept building that feels big and professional. For us, it's just this wall with sound dampening panels. There's no new setup from video to video, there's no chance of somebody barging in and interrupting, and the sound quality isn't too shabby. And you can see how it satisfies those last two categories, sound and privacy, and they pretty much go hand in hand. When you think about it, it's going to be really hard to actually clearly hear your lines when you have other people talking right beside you, and you're also going to feel really self-conscious if you're thinking about what those people think right over there. So it's really good to find a location where you feel like you can be all alone. Now that you've found your location, the next step is setup. Place your camera in a position where you have the background of your preference, and where there's not going to be constantly changing light as you're shooting. Also, try and place your camera so that it's about eye level, so that you're not looking way up or way down at yourself. Next is lighting. If you don't have any lights whatsoever, you may have to use an open window to bounce the sunlight onto your face. For this, using a big white sheet can really help. But if you do own any of your own lights, try and black out any light coming in from the sun as much as possible. If you want to delve into how to do a traditional 3-point lighting setup, then you can take a look at this video here, and the link to it is in the description below. Next up is one of the most challenging pieces of filming yourself by yourself: focusing. There is not a lot more frustrating than filming an entire video and realizing you were out of focus the entire time. So how do you set it up to make sure you're not out of focus? Well, first, you need a stand-in. Place something roughly as tall as you in the position you intend to stand. Something that works really well is a light stand. Stand where you want to be on camera and place it right in front of your face, like actually touching your face. When you focus on a subject, you always want to make sure that their eyes are the central point in focus. And so by getting this object as close as possible to your face, you're going to make sure that you get as close to matching your eye line as possible. So getting this item right where your eyes would be is pretty key. Also, make sure that it's just about the same height as the top of your head, so that way you can check to make sure that the headroom you're going to be working with is acceptable. And I know that shooting at a really shallow depth of field can be enticing, but unless you have somebody who's able to manually check up on your focus points during filming, it's going to be really easy to slip in and out of focus. So shooting at a bit of a higher f-stop is actually more of a benefit in this situation. Now keep the camera in place and go over to your camera and focus the stand-in object. Most cameras have the ability to either zoom in and check the focus more accurately, or come with a form of focus peaking, so that you can see when your subject is tack sharp. This is also a really great moment to make sure that your camera or lens's autofocus features are turned off, just so that in case you end up hitting any buttons, you don't accidentally get the camera to refocus on its own, messing up all of the work you just did. Now that you've done that, grab some tape or an object that's really difficult to move, and use it to mark where you want to stand. This way, if you ever need to leave the frame again, you can easily move around and then you know exactly where your feet are supposed to be planted again. Now that you're in focus and you have a marker placed so you know exactly where you're supposed to come back to, it's time to get some good, clear, crisp audio. And it's hard to beat a good old-fashioned lavalier microphone. Shotgun mics are great, but unless you have somebody who's constantly monitoring the audio, it's hard to tell if you're dipping in or out of the location that the audio is going to be best picked up with the shotgun microphone, because they're so directional to where your actual mouth is. But if you're using a lavalier microphone, that's going to be able to go wherever you go and pick up really good, clear audio. Now that picture's up and sound is rolling, you might think that it's time to record. Not quite yet. It's actually time to make sure that all of your batteries are fully charged, because it really sucks to finish an entire recording session and then realize. It's also a really good idea to make sure you have enough memory card storage space to last your entire recording session. If you've got a second camera, then great. Go through this entire process again for the second angle. But if you've only got the one camera, then you might think that it's going to be tough to edit, because you're going to need B-roll in between every single cut. But if you shoot at a higher resolution, like 4K for example, then you can actually get away with a bit of a cheat. If you find yourself with a jump cut situation in editing, you can actually just zoom in to manufacture a second angle. And as long as you're not facing a completely different direction than you were before, you can actually get away with it without it looking weird. So now with all of that, you're finally able to hit the record button and start your first take. Just don't go for very long, because you're gonna wanna check and make sure that everything is working properly. We just blazed through a lot of different parameters, and if any one of them isn't working properly, you wanna know right off the bat before you go through the entire process of a recording session. So jump onto your camera, take out the memory card, plug it into your computer, and check to make sure that your visuals and audio are coming across right. Now that you've done your tests, take the memory card, put it back in your camera, and you're ready to start your recording session. But this can be the most challenging part for some people, because it can be really uncomfortable to be on camera. So here's a couple suggestions to help you out. Make everything that you do way bigger than you think is necessary. This is because when you're first starting to record yourself on camera, chances are you're gonna feel like you're being big and expressive, but you're actually coming across more like this.
Hi, I'm Jordan and I work with motionarray.com, and today we're going to be going.
It's really boring. For most people, making yourself really overdo it is way better than underdoing it. And chances are, when you overexpress yourself, it's actually going to come out looking a little bit more normal. Next up, how do you memorize all of your lines? Well, full transparency, I actually never do. There's two different scenarios that will come up from time to time with these sorts of videos. If it's a topic that I feel really comfortable with, sometimes I'll just go off the cuff and make sure to hit some key points along the way. But for most of what I do, it's just looking at my computer screen or my phone periodically and just working everything in chunks. I'm just going through everything in order, memorizing each new paragraph as it comes up in sequence. And I'll go over each paragraph over and over and over again. And once I finally get a good take, I'll just move on, keeping the camera rolling the entire time. But there's also another piece that I always do in advance. I go through my scripts from start to finish, and I label if there's anywhere that I really know that I want to have B-roll. If I'm convinced that I'm going to be having B-roll playing over top of whatever I'm saying, then I don't actually need to have that portion of the script memorized. I can just literally read it right off of my phone, and no one will ever know the difference. But after a lot of trial and error, you'll find yourself settling into a bit of a rhythm, and hopefully you can start to have a lot of fun with the process as well. And guys, that's just been a few tips to filming yourself by yourself. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to check out all of our other awesome tutorials here at motionarray.com. And for those of you here on YouTube, if you did like the video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell icon to make sure that you never miss when we post. And just as a gift for those of you here on YouTube, we're giving you 20% off your first month subscription at Motion Array. Those links can be found in the description below. But thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.